Humpty Dumpty Tom. Oh, better put that away. Just a little bit of light research. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, everyone. Right then, what we're going to do? Well, we're going to do a review of 2025 in TT120. Now, I don't know if you remember, if you recall, that last year, myself and Greg, we did a nice little review of the year. It was jolly good fun. It meandered a little bit. We weren't particularly focused, mainly because we didn't do a lot of preparation. We thought we could just wing it. But there's a lot of erming and umming and so this time we thought, I've got Greg along. I need him. He's like my engineer. And we thought we'd also introduce Tim Allen, who some of you will know from the forums because he's quite prevalent there. He does have a little YouTube channel, which I'll get him to plug at the end. So if you want to chuck a few subscribers onto there, he's a newbie when it comes to the railway modelling. He's like a lot of you. He's at the beginning of quite a steep learning curve, but I think he's enjoying himself whilst he's learning these new skills, having a whale of a time with his trains. But he's also been quite good at keeping a nice little list, keeping us all informed on the forum about when things are turning up and when they've been announced and all that kind of malarkey. So we thought, who better to help us stay on track than having Tim? So, but first of all, I'm going to introduce my regular co-host, which is Greg McDonald from Mac Trains. Greg, how the devil are you, sir?
Not too bad at all. Good to see you, Chris, and good to see you as well, Tim. So, thanks very much for having me back on. Yeah, last year we failed to prepare. I think it's fair to say. So we're getting there, and I'll leave you on to Tim. We won't take too long this time out.
Hi, I'm Tim. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, I've got a small YouTube channel for my layout, and I like to keep a track on what's coming out in TT120.
Tim, what's your track? What's your layout called? What's your channel called?
St Averley.
St Averley. That's it. We'll do there'll be a link at the end, and we'll have another shout at the end. Right. So let's have a little. Let's start off with January. Now, January was rather good for me. I've got my little list here. Been doing my homework. So the January now, the Scarborough District Railway Modellers from my club, they persuaded me that it would be a good idea to go along and exhibit at Doncaster because they were exhibiting there with our O gauge layout at Napier Road. And so those chaps, I need to thank them because they were pretty much kicked off my year, really. And I got confirmation in January that my layout was required. Camelot, that is. I'm sure you're all aware of it. So January was very busy with me trying to get Camelot together. But we also had a rather nice little add-on, where we TMC had announced a little exclusive for the Burgundy box wagons from Revolution Train. So there's a limited edition one there. You can still pre-order them if you want. I'm not sure when they're going to be coming out. I'm hoping Tim might have an idea, but I think Tim's mainly been focusing on Hornby. But anyway, guys, right. So, Tim, there was a mini announcement in January, wasn't there, from Hornby? I was kind of surprised. Talk about that.
Yeah, so basically they one day just updated the website and we'd got 3 choices of Class 37 on. We've got the one with the large BR logo, like Rannoch. We've got the BR Green, and we got the EWS. They also popped on 3 different versions of the KFA wagons.
That's right. It was all kind of done a little bit like someone hadn't told somebody else to publicise it. Or something like that.
I think Martin did say something about it was in the new year they'd be opening the pre-orders up for the 37s, but I think that was just a bit of a chat video between you and him. And I think in all fairness, they have sort of announced the 37s in the previous April, where we saw the various 3D printed samples, and then we've seen the engineering samples throughout the year, and then they finally put them on the website to great fanfare in January.
Yeah, Greg, it wasn't really quite as clear cut as we've been expecting. It was quite quite blended throughout the year, wasn't it? But they were the first times you could actually pre-order them, weren't they?
Yeah, I think folk got very excited when they saw the CAD and they saw the multiple versions that they'd done for tooling. Obviously, some of that still not to come out. But for me, certainly, the 37 was a big deal just because it had been one of my favourite locos as a child. I had a green 37 that derailed everywhere. These will be much, much better, I have no doubt. My track is slightly better than it used to be when I was 11, so I'm hoping that they'll be just grand. But the big logo blue Lochran, that was the one for me. And hopefully it'll be out maybe even by the time this has actually gone out on the World Wide Web.
Well, this will be coming out. This is 5 days before Christmas. This Friday, the 19th, that we're out here. So, yeah, hopefully we might even have some at the TMC. Who knows, or dares to dream. Right, so February, obviously, I had a whale of a time at Doncaster. Very well received, and I kind of seem to have attracted a little gang throughout this year who first appeared at Doncaster, and it's great to put some faces to some people, actually, who we've been conversing with via various platforms. And of course, I met Phil Parker, who works for BRM magazine, and he did a great photo shoot of Camelot, much better than I could do, with lots of that stacked focusing, which then went on to be. I was told at the time they weren't quite sure when they were going to use it. So that was something that was exciting. I was looking forward to. Now, was there anything else slipped out on shoot in February? I can't remember if there was there.
I can't think of anything.
No. And you two were both. Craig, when did you start your new layout? Was that February?
A wee bit before then, I think. But probably the first video showing much would have been around January, February time. Yeah, it's been about not quite a year in progress so far. So yeah, I should check back on that, because in one sense it feels taking a long time. Other sense, look back and think actually it's come on reasonably well on the time frame. So a little bit.
No, I think you have. There's some cracking stuff going on there, and it's moved forward very, very, very well. It's progressed well. Right. So March. Now, I had a cracking again. This is like me blowing my own trumpet. Hey, but it is my channel. So Peachy visits Margate. That was jolly good fun. Getting behind the scenes. I had the first peek at the Terrier and the Normandy, the little B4, and then we had and I looked over the shoulder of a few designers and looked at some of the CAD work for stuff that's coming that you guys still don't even know about, because I think I would be shot. I did have to agree not to repeat some of the stuff I saw. Whether any of those designers got shot or whether it was deliberate, I don't know. But I certainly had a cracking time, and I had an interview with Mike at Hornby, and we did that, which I think came out on a couple of months later. I think it did, but that was jolly good fun for me for March. Yeah, I was surprised at the time. I expected the B4 to be small. Hadn't really thought about how small the Terrier was going to be, because it's got a longer boiler. The actual whole loco frame is only a few millimeters longer, isn't it? Right. Okay. So I was then invited to Ali Pali, and that was that was a bit of an accident. I wasn't really, although I got listed eventually, I wasn't really. What happened was, I think something had gone wrong at a Curascale, a family thing or something. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but as Curascale had to pull out of the Ali Pali, and so the BRM and the Model Railway Club, who help organise, that's the London guys who have Copenhagen Fields, the big N-gauge layout. They all of a sudden had a big space to fill, so TMC took on that big space. We brought the pre-owned team, and we stuck the Camelot in the middle of it. So that was that was quite a bit of a surprise, but obviously a very pleasant one for me. And it was there that I, without any knowledge of it, I walked around the corner, and BRM always have a stand there, and there was just a wall of Camelot pictures because it was on the front cover of the magazine. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I was absolutely. It's one of the rare occasions where I was gobsmacked. I couldn't say a word.
We don't believe you for a second. No way were you silent. Not a chance.
No, I was generally. So March was superb. Right, so we've got to push on to April. Now, April, obviously the biggest news in April was Peachy number 2 wagon came out.
You wish.
That was obviously received very well. It sold a ton of them in the first few hours, and then we'd ordered a few more, so it took a few more months to sort of set them all off. But April this year there will be another Peachy wagon. I mean, yet to know whether it's going to be on a vent or whether it's going to be a 7-plank. We don't know. I've been trying to talk to Max, the designer at Peco, about whether or not those events will be ready by then. They might not, but there will be a Peachy wagon in April. I've got the slot booked. Right, so also, we did the Whitby Brewery 7-plank wagon, another one of the many Peco collectors now. I think people are collecting these Peco wagons, these 7-planks that have had all these various shops, which I think has been a fantastic thing to see throughout the year. All the different retailers, booking 100 or 150 of these Peco 7-plank wagons. We're well into the 30s now when it comes to these private owner excuse me, artwork. You and I had an interview with Simon Kohler, Greg.
Yeah,
that was great fun. And Camelot was invited. This is April. Invited by Ben Jones from Hellion to be at Key Model World. So I didn't have anything running on there other than his stuff, and there were some Hornby characters. But that was when the 55 and the 122 came out. Fantastically received. A little bit of I think there's been a little bit of a sort of like, some people are a bit confused by the E24 and it not being designed to be compatible with the next 18, but we can have a conversation about that a little bit further along, perhaps when we wrap this on.
With next 18 or with HMDCC?
Sorry, what I meant was there's a lot of people who automatically assume, particularly new people, that anything for TT120 has to be compatible with HM7000. So for it to do that, it would have to have a next 18 decoder or socket. But Helgen do a lot of work with ESU, and ESU want to push their E24, which is their new super chip. So obviously, I don't know all the ins and outs of those decisions and what kind of pressures are put on manufacturers and kind of the deals they have with digital creators. But Hornby don't have that problem because they create their own stuff with their HM brand. But I know people are hoping that something's going to be done about that, and like I said, we'll have a conversation about that near the end, shall we?
Yeah. So keep watching, everybody.
There's something we might want to talk about at the end. Tim?
Also, just before you go away from that, Chris, I know the E24 is certainly gaining traction out with TT120 as well. I think the recently released Rapido wasn't the little really low-level Porta-Par twins. They're E24, I noticed as well. So it is gaining momentum. It's not a complete outlier, the fact that they're here on the Deltics and the 122s.
It's a very tiny little decoder. It is about the same size as the HM7000 6-pin.
Wow.
And it's an E24. They're not cheap, and having sound files put into them is not cheap, but that's like traditional DCC has been for a long time. Yep. You blow it by having a sound chart, a sound file put in. And if you want another sound file, I guess you have to have it blown again. Yeah. I think you can have it blown again, but it's not. But then you have to pay. Another 60.
It's not trivial to do that kind of thing. Doing that for these traditional DCC chips is a fairly involved affair. You usually send your chip away to a specialist to get it done, charge a fair bit of money for it, and then it comes back to you. Yeah. So that's not certainly HMDCC has certainly revolutionized the kind of mindset, I think, of people, how easily this can be done and could be done by other manufacturers who choose not to do this way. Yeah. There's nothing to stop some even being sent down through a DCC signal. I don't think necessarily, although it will be slower and so on, not being over Bluetooth, but it is theoretically possible. They just choose not to enable that. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out, certainly, over the next wee while.
Now, Tim, you came to Key Model World. Did you enjoyed yourself, didn't you? Didn't you get a VIP pass or something?
I did. I got the weekend VIP pass, and I stopped in a local hotel overnight. So I got 2 days of it. So it was good because I had a base of operations. So you had a little VIP room, so I could go round, have a look, photograph stuff, go into the room, have a cup of tea, upload them to forums for people to look at, read the comments to say, can you go and find so and so? So off I'd go out again and have another scout round.
Yeah, so you enjoyed that, didn't you?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. That was my first proper show as well.
And that was the first time I met you. And what I need to do, and we were hoping to have Sam and his partner join us today, but he's too busy doing his own Christmas stuff, which is fair dues. But it would have been great to have had Sam here, because we'd have had someone from Scotland, the North, the Midlands, and at least a southerner who lives still in the south. But I really want to try and get you and Sam stood side by side at a show, because I think you're about the only person I know who's taller than Tom Marshall. Anyway, moving forward. Right, so May. Now,
no, April. You should get a bit through April yet. You haven't got anywhere close to April.
I've just done April.
Close to April.
I've just done April. Oh no, of course, yeah, there's more to do.
We've not done Hornby April.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, no, two other things happened in April, I think it's fair to say.
Oh yeah, something happened in it. Something else happened out there in April that didn't involve me. Go on, Tim.
So yeah, we did the main announcement for TT120 in April. We got the branch line set announced. 3 new Class 66s.
You see that little set? That was pretty cool.
It is amazing, yeah. So yeah, we got the 3 Class 66s, new liveries, the EWS Freightliner, and a new GBR F1.
What gets pulled really well by the GBR F1 and the Freightliner?
That would be, from what I can see locally, that would be the container wagons.
But more specifically, the Burgundy Revolution train wagons that TMC.
Man's on commission, give him a rest.
It was like this at NEC, it was like being on a layout with Arkwright from Open All Hours, trying to flog everybody Mark II coaches.
Anyway, go on, crack on.
So yeah, we got a relivery of a Class 08 in the BR Blue Thornaby. Another relivery of the LMS Duchess of Sutherland.
Oh, can I dip in for a second there?
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that new 08 might have a few little tiny upgrades or changes to it. I think there's a chance that's going to have a coreless motor, and it might have a few differences as well.
It does have a coreless motor, and I think they might be putting new pickups or something in it.
Yeah, I think that the bottom tray, because they can't redesign the whole thing, but the bottom tray is the thing that holds the pickups, but also it's the thing that supports the kinematic couplings. And if you look at the design on the Terrier, that sticks out an extra couple of mil, which supports that kinematic coupling, the little micro spring. More so, if you knock a Terrier's front coupling, it stays where it is. If you were to give the same kind of force to the 08 coupling, as Greg knows full well, it disappears off into the ether.
And the spring is gone.
Yeah, gone, long gone. So that's going to be cool. Sorry, go on. Get back into the list, Tim.
So yeah, they did reliveries of HST Class 43s in GNER and Virgin, along with the corresponding Mark III coaches. A tiny little steam train that I don't think many people were into it, called a Terrier. They were announced. We had some more Pullmans announced in April. Car 54.
Yeah.
With Rosamond and Cynthia.
That's it.
We also had the 4-wheel coaches, which I forgot to mention, to go with the Terriers.
Yeah.
in the Southern, Brighton and BR early Mark 4s, not Mark 4s, Era 4s.
Yeah.
They had a new container released with geese on.
Yeah.
We got a reintroduction of the TTA tankers with the Shell BP as a single one, and then they did the black Shell triple packs. We got the BR and EWS merry-go-round hoppers and the 12-ton tankers as a single and a triple pack. I think it Royal Daylight was the triple and Fina was the single one.
That's it.
Which I think the first time we actually had triple packs, isn't it, for TT120 as well, instead of just buying lots and lots of the single wagon.
That's right. Yeah, well, certainly from Hornby.
Yeah.
We were expecting some reliveried Grizzly Pacifics, but it didn't happen this time, did it? Didn't happen in the April one.
No. That was later on.
I think what we're also expecting brake vans. That was a big disappointment, I think, in April, because the brake vans were getting crazy priced second hand. Yeah. There was no brake van announcement in April. That was a slight surprise omission, I think. But on the whole, it was a great announcement.
I mean, I was personally disappointed because there was no Black 5 announced in the April announcement. So, sorry, I had to get that in, didn't I?
What's a Black 5? It's something that he keeps dreaming about. It's never going to happen. Right, so can we move on to May now? Have we got?
No,
stop. No, there was more in April, wasn't it?
Yeah, you've got more to go. You've got Peco.
Go for it, Greg.
No, I just beyond that there was Peco stuff. So you got the
16-ton,
16-ton and the vent wagons, haven't you, for Peco?
So there was an LMS 9-foot vent wagon compared to the Eastern Region 10-foot. So that's the wheelbase, not the actual vent wagons themselves. But those LMS ones had a lot more private owner. So it's another good base that Peco will be getting retailers to do private owner things on. So if you've got your collecting bug for an 18/19 pound wagon, there's going to be more of those coming out, no doubt. Well, I already know of 4 retailers who have already put their orders in because we've had to sort of kind of like make sure we're not clashing liveries. So yeah, there's already a whole bunch of them booked. So we're all going, come on, Peco, crack on, let's get them out. And also we had the Southern buildings, didn't we? We had the Isle of Wight buildings.
That's right.
Peco, the kits, which was shown in November, weren't they? The example ones of them. I think particularly what I didn't realise at the announcement was that the station buildings were something that could be changed into so many different kind of orientations. So you could separate them to have buildings either side of a on 2 platforms. You could join them up. You can make them into an L shape. There's a whole bunch of different orientations you can do them. It's a really well thought out kit. So it's not just a straight copy of the now disused. Or I think it's a private home now, that station, but it's surrounded by a housing estate. But yeah, you can make it prototypical for, I guess, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. But then after that, you can just chop it around and make it up how you want it, without actually really having to have any massive skills. You just follow the instructions, and you can change it to different positions. So that's a good one from Peco, I think. Are we ready to move on to May?
I think we are, but before we do too much, I
think obviously not.
A little bit of reaction. All the stuff, there's a lot came out in April. That's really the main thing for the year. So pick one thing. One thing in April that's your favourite thing of anything that was announced in April. Peco, Helgen, and Hornby all had a big splash at that point.
It's a hard one for me to say because there was nothing for me. That's a weird thing to say. There was nothing that I was waiting for or wanted or needed. But I was very pleased with the size of the actual announcement, and I understood why they chose a lot of those things. The GNER HST, okay, so I've got a tick box against that, but I really wanted the LNER version, the red one that I assumed we were going to have right at the beginning of all this back in 2022. I would say the thing that I really wanted at the time, I guess, was the 16-ton Peco wagons, and I'm a little frustrated we're not a bit further down the road with those. But, all good things come to those who wait. Tim, anything there particularly you fancied? Obviously, was it the set?
Yeah, the branch line set was a good one, I thought.
Yeah.
It was a good introduction for people. Nice cheaper price to get folk into TT120.
And yourself, Greg, was it the Terrier?
And no, actually, I would agree with Tim. I think Terrier's a far better model in one sense than the B4, but I think the B4 set got me more excited about everything that it potentially could drive towards the scale immediately as lots of set are sold, but also as a future. Then Hornby have opened the door to slightly less detailed but very, very competitively priced TT models, which are still better than the 00 equivalent. And that was interesting to me. This was properly proportioned. It was its own chassis. It was DCC compatible, although there have been issues with 6-pin, which was better than the 00 version. So, yeah, that really to me thought, this is a really good move by Hornby.
I do think the smaller locos have an unfair advantage in TT over 00, and that is that I think the 00 ones can very easily look toy-like because the wheels look so ridiculous. It's almost as if that scale gauge is magnified to me, and maybe not to everyone. But when you build a little loco, even at a price point, and its proportions are correct, then it looks less like it seems less like a toy. Even of course they're all toys, aren't they?
Yeah. It's more credible as a model. I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Now can we move on to May?
Okay. No.
Because we've got to crack through this year. May, very simple. Camelot was at our Scarborough show in Scorby, and I was invited on to the Model Rail Replacement podcast to have a chat with James, the Western Signalman, and Sam from Emperor's Path. Now, Sam is although they didn't start with TT120 like we did. They are not there. So Sam has gone in with both feet. He's flogged all his 00 off. I think pretty much all of it now, and he's built one of the biggest layouts that I know of in TT120. Because he's young, he does lots of reels with things running around, and not so much getting on with making it. But each to their own. But the Merp chat was fun. I do really enjoy what those two boys do on their channel, and also James is. Well, he certainly bought one of those the Normandy sets, which I think might be for his son's Christmas. I don't know, but I know that.
Blow it just now, then, in case the wee lad listens.
It was rubbish, and I want to see what he does with signals on such a small space. Because being a signalman, he will have reasons for doing what he's doing, and hopefully that we can get some tips from it. That's what I'm looking forward to. June, the only thing that really happened for me, because this is obviously summertime, things start quieting a bit, don't they? The only significant thing that happened for me was me dropping all my advertising and removing a lot more of my commercial content out of my channel, and starting Tabletop Corner, which is a TMC video. That is where I do my work stuff, and I get paid to create that content, but only sort of like a basic wage to do that. It's not a massive big earner for me, and I do a snappy little 5-minute wrap up at the end of each month and talk about some of the new things that we've got on and whether we've got deals on and that kind of stuff. And I must admit, although some people said that they quite liked it wrapped in the peachy wrapping, I feel more comfortable doing it like that. I feel like I don't have to constantly defend myself or explain myself. I can just do whatever I like on my own channel and then just do that. When Howard says, we've got these at a special offer, push, 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 I don't mind doing that. I don't have to override what I'm planning on doing on my own channel. I can just do it on the works one. So that's been a positive thing for me. Anything else for you guys in June?
Not I spent most of June just putting the Scenics on the layout. So I was quite busy doing that.
That's not a waste of time, but a nice bit of hobby. And Greg obviously enjoyed what you had about a week of summer.
No. We didn't get summer for at least 3 months after that. Come on. Someone said up here it only rains twice a week, once for 3 days and once for 4. But anyway, the point is, no, June. I think that change for yourself there, Chris. I would say the first couple of episodes were a wee bit rocky on the tabletop corner stuff, but I think after that it settled into its groove quite nicely, and now the distinction is clear, the pattern's established, and it works. The only thing I think we've got the level crossings finally appeared in June. Is that right? Is it around there sometime? Anyway,
yeah, it was around that time. Yeah.
So that was something folk were waiting for. The VCs, they're quite cleverly designed. I think they've seen a bit of a mixed review. I haven't had one myself. I haven't seen one, so I don't know beyond that.
I looked at them at Getz. I think for what they are, they're quite tidy. I like the idea for the spacing for them, because it's very much orientated around their geometry and their spacing, and I model with Peco. But it doesn't mean you can't use them with the Peco track. I think you just have to do a little bit of fiddling and a little bit of fiddling about, which is all part of the fun, isn't it?
Yeah. I would also say, Tim, just for yourself there, your own layout, the scenery stuff you did absolutely transformed it as far as I'm concerned. Suddenly seeing the stuff, a bit of scenery around, it really made a huge difference and made it really enjoyable to watch that progress happening for what you had. So well done with that.
Yeah, Tim, did you enjoy making the leap from worrying about it and then actually just getting on with it?
No. I was panicked throughout. I thought, this is it. It's never going to work again. When I'm putting the ballast on and all this, and I'm like, this is it. This is the end of the layout. But looking back at it now, I'm glad I've done it, and I can see the difference myself when I look back at the photos. Because initially, all I was going to do is get a board, put the track on it, have the board painted green, and then stick some buildings on. But then, obviously, things have changed, and the scenic's gone on.
You get inspired by going to a show and seeing people's work.
Yeah.
Seeing other people's YouTube channels, seeing what they're mucking about with, seeing that, whatever your skill base is, you just need to sort of just have a go, and learn from your own mistakes and learn from your own.
And I've made plenty of mistakes. I can see the mistakes now, but eventually they'll get corrected.
But do you feel like did you gain any confidence from what you did now moving forward?
Yeah, definitely. It's like you said, if it goes wrong, you just get a scraper and start again.
Yeah.
I mean, I made a woodland area, and I bought the Hornby trees, and I looked and thought, they look like lollipop sticks stuck in the ground. So up they come, and I went and bought some more of the different, more expensive trees, and I'm a lot happier with that now. So yeah. Cool.
I mean, that's it. And I don't know, some people might say, "Well, I can't afford them." Well, there are many ways of doing trees: either making your own, or saving up and buying a couple of nice ones, or putting up with the ones that are a little bit more basic or Temu styley. It's all a step in the right direction, and you have to realise you have to get your head around. There's nothing wrong with anything that anyone does on their layout.
No.
As long as the trains still keep rolling,
And they do.
Excellent. Right, so July was a giggle. because we had TTC Concepts had their festival, which was a completely different vibe. I guess it only really worked because there was a bunch of us. There were retailers like ourselves, TMC, and Rouse of Sheffield, and Ellis Clark. We went there with, and we kind of sort of did that. And a lot of the layout people were all doing it without having their expenses paid. We weren't paying. We were keeping the costs down as much as possible. It was spread out throughout Settle. There was so much to see, so many other different things to do, like the signal box and the water tower. There was lessons going on, so you could go and find out about weathering and soldering. You could go and look at their demonstration layouts and their big, fantastic ripple head they've got there. And then down at the village hall, there was a bit of a beer festival vibe with live music and beer and homemade food, and you stepped in to help me run Camelot, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I think that was first. No, it weren't first time I'd seen Camelot. First time I was allowed to work Camelot with the turntable. So yeah, I drove up again, stayed overnight in Settle. Lovely area. Saw the famous Settle and Carlisle line and the station, and
was that an interesting experience for you? Because that was when, again, Camelot, because it's not obviously. I know it's not the only layout out there, but it's the one that's gone to some of the bigger venues. Although there are, I know Gary might be watching this and going, "I'm at York." Yeah, we know you're going to be at York, Gary, and we'll come and say hello. I enjoy the vibe you get from people coming along and having a chat, and talking to us, and particularly people that have been on the forums and are subscribers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that side of it?
I did, yeah. Talking to folk. I mean, I think the number one question of the day was, "Is this Engage?"
But it was a good show, wasn't it? It was fun.
It was. I got to meet Gary in person, Gary Hall.
Yeah, because Gary came over, and it was free, wasn't it? It was free.
Exactly, yeah.
I would love to get to these things, but it's just not practical. Again, I have to live it vicariously through those of you who are there and talk about it and take good videos and stuff. And that's maybe I'll get down to one at some point. But for just now, I'll just plug away up in the wilds of the West.
July, we had 2 new liveries for the Class 50, the Barham, which was the old BR Blue, and the Ark Royal in Network Southeast.
That got Sam from Emperor's Path very excited.
Yeah.
But possibly overexcited.
It's not for me, Network Southeast, which I like to stick with the northern liveries. But yeah, there's a lot in TT120 on the forums. We're asking for Network Southeast liveries for locos and coaches. So yeah, it was a good one for him, that, I think. I think it was a good one for the scale in general.
Definitely. I think the toothpaste tubes do look good. It's what I grew up with. I don't have any plans for building anything particularly in that style at the moment, but maybe in the future. But yeah, it's I think it's a good looking livery. Great.
Yeah, and as much as I joke on the forums with folks saying Network Southeast, Network somewhere else, because it's nothing to do with me, I'm glad they have actually done it. I think it is going to attract more people.
Yeah.
We also saw the new LNER A4, Sir Nigel Gresley.
Yeah, that was a weird one. That's the only. I think it was the first time that I almost. I know people say that I'm way too positive about what Hornby's doing and Hornby can do no wrong. Well, I still personally think that one was a wrong choice.
Yeah,
I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why they didn't do. If they wanted to do a blue A4 with its in garter blue, Bitten is coming out soon. It's going to be it's going to be running on the main line again, because the Mallard's never going to leave the Rowing Museum. It's too much for cash cow for them. I know I've got stuck on one of my old moans, but yeah, if I was in charge, it would have been LNER Garter Blue, Bitten, no questions asked, and Sir Nigel Gresley in Era 4 Blue. double chimney corridor coach, job done.
We also saw an introduction of wagons back in to TT120 because one of the main complaints at Settle was there's no wagons to buy. You can't get the 7 planks anymore, and there's no brake vans.
That was a weird point of this year that we had this dearth. We had months and months, and we're still there. It's been announced that people can pre-order, but we're still at a point where there's a lot of this stuff is still out of stock, and it's driving retailers crazy because we could shift that product.
Yeah,
but you can't kick Hornby for actually having made something that people want and having sold out. And it's easy to turn around and say, well, they should have ordered more. Well, you know what? They could have ordered more with the Mark 1s, and they've still got a few of them left. So don't blame them business-wise for just going, right, well, let's hold our horses, and we'll bring some new ones out and people will buy those. But I felt like both them and Peco could have reacted more quickly to the market. But that's, again, it's just a personal opinion.
Yeah.
It's not based on...
So we saw, back in July, we saw the CDA hoppers, the MHA coalfish wagons, a new issue was the BR 21-ton mineral wagons. I mean, they came into stock and were sold out within hours when they were released. So obviously another batch of those have come out. Various 7 planks and, of course, the BR vent vans that sold out quite quickly in the early batch.
Yeah. All good stuff. What did you think of that lot, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was okay. It wasn't necessarily what gave me much excitement, but it was good to see commitment to getting some more freight stuff out there. I think that was important, and not just restock of other ones, but getting the coalfish out, CDA hoppers, a little bit of variety as well. Something new. I think that does no harm, but a little bit underwhelming, possibly. But yeah, that was my take.
Very dear there, Dougal. Right. Okay. So August. Now, this is when I started my Rail 200 fail. And so there was very little content on my channel other than me going into micro detail about 3D printed concrete sleepers where you could see the name in the middle of them, and prototypically correct flat bottom code 55 rail, and completely kit bashing tunnels to make them more accurate like the real things, and making perfect trees, and then naively not realizing it was a photographic competition.
Just to go back to it, I think still that the track that chap produced, the sleepers, it looked fantastic. It really looked absolutely. It added that level of realism that we have got the wooden sleepers track. That's what we've got. We've got to work with that just now. But seeing that that gave you the insight what is still possible with the scale to add. I think TT120 has this huge opportunity of not just being something in between the N and double O, but being the scale. If you want to do it properly, you go TT in the UK. And I think that will need a little bit more work in terms of track as well, for those who want to do modern image stuff, bring out concrete sleeper track. And that, if one of the big manufacturers could manage it such that you also had the rail gaps underneath, that would be a lovely little feather in the cap. So yeah, that showed at least what was possible. So poor Chris, a little bit sour over his Peco 200 competition, but we all enjoyed watching him fail miserably. No, we enjoyed watching the process of a master model maker, and to be at least I still entirely understand the. I
mean, you say fail, but when I went to Pickering, Getz, and this last one at NEC, obviously the Peco diorama thing was on display, and the amount of people that come up and went, "Oh my God, that's fantastic! Can we take a picture?" And there was just hundreds of people snapping pictures of that little diorama.
Yeah, it was fun, and
it's.
And I'm not taking anything away because we'll be talking about that we'll talk about this later about the results and all that kind of stuff for a month. But yeah, you know, I hadn't put the thought into it for angles and how to photograph it. I went at it like a model maker making the best model I could in the space I had, and that's on me. That's not anybody else's fault. Right. So let's move on to September. Obviously, I carried on with the RAL 200 and handed it in. I was at the North Yorkshire Moors Steam Gala. Did you come along to that, Tim?
Yeah, Pickering Station.
Yeah. So we're at the Pickering Station. So we put on our little club, put on a really quite a good display. I think we always have a little Thomas layout because it's an interactive one that the kids can actually control, and we have little tricks that the operator behind does for the switches and the lights and stuff. The thing is you know, you don't have to be Einstein to look around and look at companies like Rapido bringing out new stuff in 009 and engine and there's new stuff in other scales coming out because and Hornby obviously doing 120 and Hellion doing 120 now. Peco wanted to do some stuff in 120 because all these manufacturers need to sell new product to survive, and we need that for the hobby to survive. And the hobby will not survive on a continuous regurgitation of second-hand products, which is where 00 seems to be going full speed. You go to if you guys rock up to Doncaster in February, it's one of the biggest trade. I think it's the biggest trade show where you don't have the manufacturers there. You have all the retailers there, and it has a lot of footfall, a lot of people there, and they're all trying to find their 00 bargains. That was my little serious note for a minute there. Right. So that was. Of course, actually, and the HM 6-pin turned up in September, which I, for one, was really looking forward to, because I thought what would happen would be all those people who had been hanging on for the 6-pin so they could stick it in their 08s would then leave me alone. I could get on with doing marketing and building my own layout and not have to do any more conversions to HM7000 sound decoder. And that kind of happened briefly for about a week, maybe two. And then now I've got another tsunami of 08s to convert because it's come along with quite a few kind of niggles, and I don't think Hornby can blame the consumer because by looking at the YouTube channels and the forums, we've all been giving it a bloody good go, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, the day it came out, I mean, Greg and I was texting and phoning each other trying to get it to work. We were both struggling.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that there are people out there who probably and I've made them work, and then I unassign it from my phone. I then send it to a customer, and that customer cannot make that work for whatever reason. Whether it's anything, but the thing is, there's so many things it could be. It can be the track. It can be the contacts. But if it's been fitted and running and work, then that shouldn't be. It can be the software. If on a particular Android, it could be an older iPhone. It could be this. It could be that. It could be this and the other. At the end of the day, it isn't robust enough. The product isn't robust enough to really cover enough of the market, and it's frustrating that you've now got in itself a good decoder because you plug a dongle in and use an Elite or a Select, works absolutely fine. You plug it in and stick that loco, whether it's a Terrier or an 08, on a normal track and plug an NT power cab in, works like a dream. But then so does a Zen, so does an AE, so does so many of the other smaller 6-pin decoders that leave a little bit of breathing room for maybe some caps. You know, it's the big bonus for it that means you end up spending another tenner is the Bluetooth aerial, which isn't. I don't know if it's the aerial or is it the fact that it's only got one chip. Because the smarter chip, the sound decoders, I've heard some people call them smart decoders because they've got two chips, so it has the capacity to deal with various issues. But yeah, it's not.
Something's lacking. Something's definitely going wrong with sixpence. I was like that. I was also hugely looking forward to them personally, but also I thought this will be for Hornby, if you like, a second wave of adoption for HM7000. Because there's loads of 00 stuff. That's at the early days of DCC. That's a 6-pin. So people couldn't, who had their legacy stock, they couldn't shift to HM7000 because half the locals were 6-pin stuff. So it needed a 6-pin option to make it a proper universal system that people could use. And this comes out, you plug it in, you know what you're doing now because you've done it a dozen times before or more in some of you guys' cases of multiple locus. And it moves a quarter-inch and dies. Another quarter-inch and dies. You wait a while, you kind of clean the track and you clean this, and it does the same thing again. So like yourselves, got it working eventually. But it shouldn't be like this. And I wouldn't be able to recommend it to somebody unless they knew going into it that they were willing to spend quite a bit of time in dealing with the foibles. And even then, I can leave it one night working beautifully, come back in the morning, turn everything back on again, and I've got to fettle with it again to get it going. And it just shouldn't be like that. There's something somewhere that's fundamentally flawed in their firmware or in their software or in the hardware. I don't know where it is, but something's not the way it should be.
I've converted mine back to DC.
Okay.
So I run them on the inner loop, which is isolated from the others.
Yeah.
And I just put a Gauge Master controller on when I want to run them, and then swap it over for a 1 amp supply when I want to do the HM7000.
Yeah. And they run beautifully in DC. That's an advantage, thankfully. The Terrier and the B4. I ran them in on DC and they're cracking runners. There's not a fundamental problem with the hardware as far as the loco itself is concerned or the pickups, so that works. But yeah, they've got more work to do. Hopefully they communicate that. I think that's important for them now to communicate that they realize an issue and they are working and they're going to come up with a solution. They shouldn't, I don't think, continue pretending there isn't an issue. You need to let us know what the issue is or what they can do about it.
Yeah, it's a fine line. They're running a business. They don't want to shoot themselves in the foot. But I think that they have to sit down. Martin and the rest of the gang at Hornby have to sit down and say, what's going to be worse for us? Us ignoring this and putting our heads in the sand and sending out emails to retailers saying there's nothing wrong with these products and denying any kind of responsibility for it, or holding their hands up and saying, right, we got it working, but as you've all experienced, it's not doing what we'd hoped it would do. Where they go from that, I don't know. Whether they come up with a nice little clever... Right, just to rewind a little bit. I have faith in the HM7000 app. It wasn't something that I was particularly intrigued by, but my son convinced me to use it. I really like the accessibility of the app. I really like the use, the control. I like the accessing the CVs. I like the fact that I don't have to remember a whole series of numbers to press a bell or put it into auto function or do shuffling. It's all there on easy to access labels and pictures. Other companies have done something similar. This one I think is actually the best on the market, and it really works for me. I like the idea of being able to walk around with the Bluetooth connectivity, but I'm not that bothered about the Bluetooth connectivity to a loco, I'd be, as people have already worked out, working with a dongle and an Elite is actually. Do you do that, Greg? I think do you with a.
No. Mine is just straight with a DC 4-amp supply. It's all Bluetooth to the local so far. I don't.
But there are people who are using that dongle and is making it work for them. Some must, because mainly because people are buying Elites and Selects that are on the second-hand market. But some of them can be flaky. Some of them were flaky when they're new. So some people have struggled with that. But all in all, if they've got a working Elite or Select, and I put a dongle on it and use it via the legacy system, where your app is talking via Bluetooth to a dongle, which then sends information up the track, like traditional DCC using AC, that is working really well. And I'm hoping they'll come up with, it doesn't have to be a new DCC system, it just needs to be a power pack hub that sends 15 volts AC and signal into the track with its own little Bluetooth host, whether that's via a dongle or whether that's whatever system they use. And so we're doing everything we've been doing before, but we don't have to have Bluetooth decoders. Now, I'm guessing the Bluetooth decoder system, but then you see you could do that and you could still control your locos via Bluetooth because they're smart decoders. I've used Bluetooth to control locomotives via Bluetooth that have been on DCC AC track. So you can still do that. You can still have that. It just means that the other locos and the smaller ones with the 6 pins in can be running more reliably via DCC. And I'm hoping that's something that maybe they focus on looking at investing in. I don't know how much this kind of stuff costs, but it doesn't have to be a complete ground up DCC system. You've got this great controlling system in the app.
Yeah, it's basically just something I would take the signal from the app and throw it out directly onto the track. And there's not of itself any controls in it at all. It's all done from the app. So it's just a dumb box that takes signal in, converts it, and pushes it out by the track.
Yeah.
As well as supplying the power. And that's
because that's what the little Elite and Selects are doing. You shove the dongle into it. They're not. There's no controls going on there. You're just sending stuff.
They're almost overkill because these are actual DCC, full-fledged DCCs. Well, Select, maybe not full-fledged, but DCC systems in their own right, which you're just using as a dumb box to send stuff out. So they're overkill. So there's a gap there somewhere. That could work. I mean, an ideal solution, of course, is them to fix the firmware or whatever it is that's giving the grief. If that's not possible, they really need to think of somebody else and talk to us.
Yeah. Okay. Any final thoughts on that?
The whole point, I think, of Bluetooth was you didn't have to worry about having a perfectly clean track. You didn't have to have all the drop wires in. All you needed was power to the track, and then all your signals went via Bluetooth.
Right, let's move forward, as we could be here all day. Right, October, obviously gets. Me and Camelot were a Hornby guests. We had 37s running on there. We had the Terrier running on it briefly. And we had the Normandy had a little buzz on D. No, didn't actually. No, we didn't get the Normandy working either. But again, that was my first experience of the frustrations of the 6-in because at 7:30 in the morning I had them running, and then by the time everyone else turned up and turned on all of their layouts, which I didn't think this was going to be an issue, but I was there with Callum, one of the designers, and we opened up my iPad. My iPad could see over 365 blue HM7000 decoders because people were using them on their DCC systems. So the decoders are still being considered as a good buy. So this is not the end of HM7000. It's just that these little 6-pins can't cope with that. And like I said, my iPad, it could see over 360 decoders that I could that it was asking me for a reset code. But Gets was fun. Did you come to Gets, Tim?
I did, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you were helping me, weren't you?
Yes, that's right.
It's been a busy year, but that's another great show. Again, I was being pulled from pillar to post talking to people. So kind of abandoned Tim at my layout for quite a while. And it was a real benefit having Tim there, because if I wasn't there, there were still people who could come up and go, right, tell us about TT120, and Tim would crack on. It was good.
Yeah.
You enjoyed that?
I did, yeah. Talking to folk again. A lot say, well, I've had 40 years of 00, so I'm not going into TT. And like I say, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's not there to replace 00. It's not there to replace your Engage layouts. It's there to supplement it, get new people in.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot were saying if they were starting again now, they would choose TT over N or 00.
Yeah, I'm glad things are changing. I'm glad new people are coming in and saying, I'm going to make a little NG7 or an or a 009 layout to fit on a little corner table or something. But also the 120, where 120 wins over all of the Rebel Alliance of always the true scales, is that it covers the entire UK British outline. So the world is its oyster. Right. Did anything else other than us showing off those things? Of course, we had the 37, the green 37 running with sound. That was awesome. Sounds great, doesn't it? Well, we had that. We actually had it first time. We had it at Settle, didn't we?
At Settle, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So then we move into November.
You've got to go back there. Hang on. You got a Hornby birthday in October.
Oh, go on, crack on. Forgot it's not just the Peter show.
Over to you, Tim.
So yeah, it was October was the 3rd anniversary of TT120, and a small announcement was done at the same time. We got the new BR livery for the Class 37, which is the old style BR blue. Virgin Mark 2F coaches. Yeah. A BR brake van, which is the XLNER one, which I'm sure is selling quite well. We got the Father's Day and club wagons, the red brick buildings, and there was some other wagons mentioned at the end and blurred out. HBA, HEA, MEA wagons. We've not seen or heard anything of them since. Could they be a future let's just appear on the website?
Did I miss that? What was...
Right at the end of the video.
Oh, yeah, he had him in the background. Mike had him in the background on the wall, didn't he? Yeah. So, well, that's obviously something that's, I guess, in the pipeline.
It was a teaser, I think, October. It wasn't a vast thing, but I think the early BR Blue stuff does look good, I must be honest. The 37 and the 50 both look good in the early BR Blue. Trying not to get too much envy with my large logo blue stuff, but I think that's a clever move.
There's some nice detail changes as well on that early 50. Yeah. There's some nice it's nice to see some little tooling detail changes, not just a blanket re-livery. Yeah, it does look rather handsome.
Isn't there? You're seeing that as well as elsewhere, and the lighting at the front was good to see that attention to detail.
The novelty wagons, I like the idea of a club wagon. It's just something to collect, isn't it? It's cheap as chips.
Yeah,
stick it on the shelf. The Father's Day wagon, it's personal taste, isn't it? I thought the graphic could have been done with a bit more thought, but it doesn't really matter because it's, like I say, it's one of those little. It's a little fun thing. It's a little bit of giggle. They will sell because those little fun things do sell, and also. I'm looking for. I haven't actually cracked open my set yet because I'm getting it on Christmas Day. So I haven't looked at that 10 plank wagon or whatever it is. Have you boys had a look at yours? Have you pulled them apart? Have you looked to see whether or not the chassis a good kind of like fit for maybe another brake wagon along the brake wagon or anything?
I've had a look underneath. I've not actually took them apart. They do look like they could be quite easily interchangeable for cheaper style wagons if they want to do them.
Have you had a look at them?
Yeah, it's an extremely basic underframe. I mean, there's really nothing there. So it's the fishtail couplings. There's next to no brake rigging at all beyond the kind of at the very edge. There's not brake shoes like that. So it's quite a basic thing, but I haven't taken the body off. But that's on a to-do list, certainly. I think I think you'll enjoy the set when you get it. It's a good fun wee set. It's not pretending to be more than it is. I think that's important. If it was pretending to be more than it is, some super accurate thing, that'd be different, charging 200 quid for it. It's 90 quid at the retailers. And I really hope and imagine that should be flying off the shelves everywhere.
Yeah. Right, so can we now move on to November?
I don't think anything really
What
happened in November, did there, you know?
Did anything happen in November?
We had NEC and that was about it, weren't it?
Yeah. The Black Friday sale as well, remember? That was Black Friday sale.
Oh, yeah, there was the Black Friday sale with the codes, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
The sets were really good offers. I think it's move on to December.
Right, stop it. That's enough. Right, so November. I had a cracking day out with my missus. She bought me tickets to go on the flight. So me and her went on the flight in Scotsman, North Yorkshire Moors. That was that's definitely a bucket list item, a box ticked. I've now been pulled by Sir Nigel Wesley and by the Flying Scotsman. So I've been on the footplate of Flying Scotsman at the museum, but it was awesome seeing it actually under steam, pulling into the station. And then, that was an excellent experience. But then we had a nice little tech exclusive, which is something I've been pushing for with talking for ages with DCC Concepts about this. So TMC have done a full range of wheel cleaners, but one of them specifically, the one that's missing from the market. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Well,
I'll just talk to people who go into my video. Hang on, and that is it. Their grand wee thing.
Because that's something that I'm using every day at work, particularly when things are weathered and you want to get the paint off. And it's really good for you can rub your loco up and down on it, which is enough to clean that patch. That then it starts to move, and then the little brass brushes scrape through the paint or whatever it is you got on there, and before you know it's spinning along lovely, and you give it a nice clean. You've been using it, Greg. Have you enjoyed using it?
Yeah, it's exactly a Ronseal product. It does what it's meant to do. It's not overly engineering fancy. It sits on the track. You want to get perfect track. You've highlighted there that I agree. The brushes are nice and soft. I think I have seen other products, even just handheld brushes onto the thing, and they always relied on the engineering being done, but it didn't feel to me quite. It always felt a bit rough. That doesn't. That feels about the same thing as rubbing your finger on a toothbrush.
Have you tried one, Tim?
Yeah, I bought one at the NEC.
Oh, you got one of the first ones from the first batch. Well done.
I've tried it on the 08 with the decoder in, but it didn't seem to help much on that. But yeah, it's good at cleaning the wheels, like you say.
Right. But then we had ourselves and Hellion and the Mark IIs, which I think, I know have been received very well, particularly when it comes to the pre-orders. As pre-orders go, you can well imagine that TMC has done a lot of pre-ordering in the past with double O's and I know they're probably not pre-orders. I mean exclusives. They've done sort of like 4 or 5 a year for the past few years, and if not longer. But I've been told that that weekend's pre-orders broke all records. So a pre-order exclusive breaking records that have been held by O-gauge locos or stock. It's kind of I'm going to ask you what your opinions in a minute. There's two kind of things that I found strange about it. There was some nice noise. Lots of people really kind of pleased with it. Lots of conversations about it, and they're continuing to sell. We're selling 1 or 2 packs a day now, so that's sort of like 4 to 8 units a day. You know, it really has been very well. We haven't fallen off. When I say fallen off, we haven't had a week without sales. We've had the odd Sunday without a sale. So that's all moving very much moving forward and actually showing some patterns. We had a nice blip, with as soon as people realised that the Burgundy 37, the WS 37 is a good match for the regionals, all of a sudden people started ordering the regionals. And it goes back to that idea of showing people what works together, holding their hand, but going, look, this works, that goes with that. And then all of a sudden they go, oh, I like that, and I wanted one of those, but didn't know what went with it. So now all of a sudden the Burgundy 37, which wasn't doing particularly well in pre-orders, and I think that, Tim, from your research, all of a sudden they're all over Facebook, people buying them. I felt a little bit lackluster by how they've been received by other YouTube channels outside of the scale, and by that kind of social media, other social media. It's been ignored. There are other people as well who are just sort of turning their back on it, as if to say, I'm going to ignore that, it's not happening. And we don't need them to shout about it. We can shout about it ourselves. But what did you guys think of it when it was announced? Because I had kept it quite secret.
And obviously when I saw the video Barrow Hill, I'm thinking, this ain't a Mark II coach. You didn't have to be Einstein to figure that one out. But yeah, I think it's a good thing what's come out. It's plugging a hole in the market. There's plenty of comments on the forum saying we want the earlier BR Mark 1s and we want the early Mark 2s coming out. So yeah, it's a good thing. And it covers a wide range of liveries as well. So I think you've got the Midland Main Line, East Coast, West Coast. There's Network South East. There's your regional.
Eastern region and Western region, because I don't want you to get mixed up. West Coast is just the name of the modern rail tour company.
Yeah.
I had people queue. You were there. You watched it, Tim. You had people queuing up their leaflets, going, right, Chris, tell me what goes with what I've got.
I think your strategy was very good, Chris, in terms of presenting the connections and explain a little bit without it could easily become tedious. When we did this because of that and that because of this, and so you actually present in such a way that here's what's out, here's what goes. Look at this. Here's a trade in the box, basically. Do anything else? Order this pack. Order that pack. As soon as I saw the video release, I thought, I know there's a man there called Emperor's Path who's jumping up and down right now.
Sam was the first person he was the first person to pre-order anything.
Yeah. Well,
he was the first person to place an order.
Such an obvious person. This was basically just built for him entirely. And I reckon you'd probably have fulfilled a record pre-orders just on his pre-orders alone, let alone everybody else get in. But no, it's a big vote of confidence in the scale for TMC and yourself, Peachy. I think that I know that obviously Hellion have taken Dawn as well. They're doing it as a commission, so their risk is less. And it should pay off. And I think that it has a lot of potential to encourage others to look at, okay, that's worked for them. There's obviously people out there with money in their pocket that they will spend on the right stuff, and hopefully encourage not just others completely entirely, but encourage Hornby as well to try and be as clear in their presentation and joined up in their planning as possible, because these things will help the scale enormously. Not be scattergun, but actually think, okay, let's be a little bit strategic here. There's a vast amount that is waiting to be done by Hornby, particularly in terms of their PR still. And that they rely on people like us to do a lot of this for them, I think, right now. Maybe we're the mugs for doing it, I don't know. But I think that they're canny enough to realize social media can help a huge amount in getting this news out. They don't necessarily have to do it all themselves. But I think they need to provide the background for us to then take that on and to provide the information. I don't want, when something's announced, for me then to go and spend 3, 4, 5 hours digging out what runs with what, exactly what era was, what are the detail changes. I want that provided by the manufacturer and then I can go and choose to comment on it however I choose to comment on it after that.
I think they're going to sell well because at the moment we've got stock out there for them. Obviously, you've got your 37s coming out. You've got the old BR style 37 due. Your Class 50s will use them. We know there's a Class 31 coming out. 47s have been mentioned. It all works together with those coaches in those liveries.
But I did set some goals, and one of the goals I wanted to do was make sure that London Midland pack was something that we knew would be pulled by a Black 5. As simple as. Because you don't see that much on the show circuit, Steams pulling blue greys, but they did, and they did for a good amount of time. Right, so we know Hornby are doing a Black 5. It's not been officially announced, but it's never been denied. It's always been on the list. They would be mad not to actually be announcing that maybe in April. We just wanted to make sure that there was something for everyone. The one thing that people came at me and said, really like to have a Scott rail, and I get that. And the Scott rail nearly beat the regional.
Okay.
I've got to speak to Ben at Hellion, and we've got to work out where the line is, because there's a point where we can turn around and say, right, we can pick up more or pick up another livery. But that line is nearer than we'd like it. But also the sales are better than we thought they would be. So maybe initially we thought, well, if these don't sell very well, we're certainly not going to pick up the option to ask for more or different liveries. But if they get to a certain point where there's enough confidence from the decision makers at TMC about whether or not we need to do to extend the run on the NSEs and on the Eastern Blue Greys, because they're the strongest sellers at the moment, but not by much over the others. There's no absolute winner, but maybe we can bring a Scott Rail pack in as well, and maybe we do. And there's a couple of other singles we might do, like an engineering coach or something that could be fun. I know that the big winner in the single coaches is the Blue Grey Buffet. That was always an obvious. People love to have the little buffet. But the one I had to fight for was the version 1 Mark II, the prototype that got turned into first class coaches and put on the Eastern region. I'm not surprised that they've almost sold out in pre-order, because we know there was thousands of Easterner sets, and these will go. You can sit these in with the Easterner sets, and it's actually a match in with those. So everyone out there with an Easter set goes, oh, do you know what? I quite fancy having that a proper full first class. So yeah, those ones. They've gone jolly hockey sticks. Right, enough about all that malarkey. December. Anything particularly you guys want to talk about in December? Apart from Christmas.
I think you mentioned, I don't know if you want to come up with this now, but I think it was probably in November it came out, before we move in. The fact that the Peco Rail 200 competition was won by TT120.
Yeah.
I think that's worth having a wee slot in there.
Oh, 100%. Justin came over to see us at the show, and cracking chap, good photographer, which helps if you want to win a photography competition. But
wait till I rub some of that salt on the wound a wee bit more there.
No, Justin was a cracking chap and came over and talked to all the gang, and a worthy winner. There was an excellent display. I mean, I went under Peco as well, because it was an excellent display, and all the 00 stuff with it all running was fantastic to see.
Sure.
Some of the kids stuff was amazing. That one that was like a Kraken coming out and pulling coaches in, that was phenomenal. The imagination behind it. Obviously, Tom Buggles Kelly, his photograph looked excellent, because that was just incredible. If you watch his video videos of him building that and the effort you put into it.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy because you can't really see it.
No,
And I
paint
think
the chairs. I think he painted the chairs, didn't he, on his track?
I think when he displays it, I think he might put like a magnifying glass in front of it so you can actually see the effort he put into it. And obviously, James from Western Signalment, he was another one of the runner-ups, and he did a cracking thing with little work. He's just like a little operating thing, and you can actually operate the layout, and it has moving signals. Of course, he's got proper signals on ground signals and stuff. That was fantastic. I must admit, I really enjoyed watching other people's YouTube channels about what they were doing with it.
Yeah,
that was a real buzz. It's absolutely fantastic. And Justin's been a top lad because he's spending all his vouchers with me. So yeah, I don't know if he feels guilty.
It looked phenomenal. Whatever scale it was, it wouldn't have mattered. Looking at it, it was clearly a worthy winner. It looked beautiful. He put a vast amount of effort into it.
I loved it, both on his and on James's layouts. I really liked their autumnal colours and their dropped leaves.
Colour schemes.
I've never done anything like that before, and I've never really thought about doing that before. And they both of them inspired me to have a little think about: do I want to do something like that in the future?
That colour palette definitely.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Really, really well. Really
You've got to be brave. It's a strong colour palette, but you get it right, like those two did. Bang! Does it work?
Yeah. So yeah, it certainly, I think, captured a lot of imagination, and it was across the scales, it was across the hobby, and I think folk from all different entrances found it really exciting to watch.
Yeah. Right, December. Now, to be honest to the people who are watching this, we're videoing this a week before, right? Because we've got so much on, we've got families and things to do. But I'm hoping to have an announcement that would have come out hopefully by the time this video is aired. Right, guys. So, what do you think about? So, we've done the year. We'll have a little sneaky peek into the future because I know everyone's always worrying about when the next announcements are. My gut feeling is I don't think if we hear anything, it might be a livery, but I don't think we're going to hear anything in January. I think they're going to save it all up for a big bang in April.
No, I think if anything is announced in January or just appears on website, it'll be the wagons mentioned at the end of the video in October. Yeah. I can't see him just putting a black 5 straight up onto website with no fanfare or anything like that. So, yeah, I think April's going to be realistically where we get to see the big stuff coming.
Yeah, and January does seem... They've announced they're going to be doing, I think, the 12th of January, I think it is, or something like that. Big 00, full range, traditional, that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
They don't want to separate these. Well, they want to keep them separate, don't they, at the moment?
Yeah, I was talking to Martin at NEC, and I said, is there any more announcements for this year? And he said, no, 00's going to be January, TT's April.
Yeah. Right, Greg.
The only thing I would like to see, I suppose, if they're doing stuff in January, is maybe they might have something to tell us about HM7000. That'll be good because that's not scale specific. So I hold out some vague hope, but I think that's probably more my optimism than anything else.
You are a very positive person. Your glass is always half full. Right. Anyway, listen, guys, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for giving up your time. And Greg will be giving up more time as he edits a lot of this. And I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody and a Happy New Year. 25 was fantastic. I think 26 is going to be even better. Tim, would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Merry Christmas to everybody, and let's looking forward to what's coming out in 2026.
Excellent. And Greg?
Yeah, 2025, good year for the scale, and 2026, Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you for subscribing. There'll be links on below for the other two chaps' YouTube channels, which is Mac Trains and what is it again?
Centaverley.
Centaverley.
It's a play on a local town, Stavely.
All right, Centaverley.
It's just Centaverley.
And you know where I am, and you can also see the TMC's roundups on Tabletop Corner on the TMC YouTube channel. I'm now shoving stuff on Instagram, which seems to be quite pleasant. People are trying to get me involved in Discord, but I really don't understand it. I've signed up, but I can't work out what I'm supposed to be doing. But anyway, hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and see you next year. Take care now. Cheery bye.
And that's all there is to tell. I'll be on my way now, sir. I've got urgent business in the south. I have to meet a man at Mobile Junction.